Hello, everyone. It's me, Kirsten, and this is the It's Giving Mystical podcast. And this is a little winter solstice update. Oh, I hope that you are finding time, taking time to be quiet right now. I can't emphasize enough how much restorative, good energy exists in these silent spaces, in these dark places. And I was going to do a kind of full length solstice meditation, but I keep being called to encourage silence, to encourage quiet. And that's going to land differently. Some of you are going to be like, yes, I love that. And some of you are going to be challenged by that. I just offer that there's ways to do that that feel mm, digestible to your nervous system. So, one of the great tricks of all practices is timers, is setting containers around time. So when you go into silence and you know you're only going to be there for 3 minutes, it's much more palatable, like it's much more doable than to put yourself against pressures of time or vast amounts of time that don't actually feel safe to you. So I encourage you in this time of the solstice to really find space to connect to the earth, to recalibrate your system with the systems of the earth, with the pulse of the earth. For depends on where you are, right? Like that can mean many things. That can mean sitting outside with the trees. That can mean taking a walk in nature. That can mean going out into the city and feeling the earth as it exists underneath the pavement, underneath the roads. It can mean bathing in a river or bathing in the ocean. Wherever you are, there's this a reminder of how connected the earth is and how disconnected we are as people. So there's so many interesting scientific studies. And I keep thinking about that quote from that book, like, we are not at the end of science, we are not at the end of history. But even now, science will tell you about the mycelium network. It will tell you the way that plants can recognize your energy from like miles off. There's so much happening, there's so much communication happening in the earth. And when you really imagine that so much of the earth is tapped into itself, is tapped into the grid of the luminescent grid that is the energetic vibrational output of Pachamama, then you realize that there's such an opportunity and always an invitation for you to tap into that grid as well. I just put this thing on Instagram. I hope you'll go watch it. It was from the Wisdom Keepers, and this man was speaking just about this idea that we've been taught to tune out the earth. We've been taught to tune out the energies around us. And he talks about just the invitation to turn the volume up. And so I want to offer you that in this solstice as a reminder. I personally need to practice what I preach. And so for me, I'm going to go dark here on the podcast, which I haven't done in probably a couple of years now, until January 10th. And I encourage you to do the same in whatever way or capacity you can. Understand that the energy coming in 2025 is 9, is hermit, is completion, is the end of a cycle. And I just encourage you to feel what grounds you before you begin that year. And I encourage you to do whatever you need to do to make peace with the year that's been, to make peace with what has come over this past cycle. And the 8 year is a very powerful time of integration and like weaving together our spiritual yearnings and our body's experience of the world. And that is hard work. Like, I don't know how else to say it. It's hard work to let your container recalibrate to a new way of moving through time and space. The physical body is our most precious gift, and it is a limitation that reminds us daily of what we're here to do. So I keep hearing also a lot of messaging around the power of simplicity, in that the most simple practices tend to be the most powerful practices. Not easy to do, not easy to commit to, but incredibly powerful. So in this time of the solstice, I invite you to witness your day to day, witness your practices, witness your devotional acts, and think about how they can be simplified. How can you bring it down to the basics of what you're actually here to do, what the purity of your intention, the purity of your desire is? I leave you with this little note. In terms of a specific practice, I really encourage you to sit in quiet in whatever way feels good to you. Another layer to that would be to make peace with the year in visualization and meditation to kind of grid yourself, anchor yourself in each of the months that's passed in 2024, January, February, March, April, May. To sit in each of those spaces and to call up that version of you and dialogue with them, make peace with them, receive their gifts, receive their lessons, and thank them for the time they were here. Thank them for their experience of the world, their level of engagement with the world, their level of engagement with your own journey of healing and your own journey of self awareness, self actualization, self remembering. So make peace with that. And I invite you to invite the hermit into your space, the hermit card in tarot, to be something to dialogue with and spend time with. And then I really encourage you to allow some fallow time, some empty time, some spaciousness, some silence, some darkness into your life. I will be doing the same. If you need me or you feel disconnected, I really encourage you to use my Instagram grid like a oracle deck. I invite you to use these podcasts like an oracle deck. There's always the message you need out there, whether it's on this podcast or some message I've shared or some message you need to hear from the earth. So, yes, begin with the earth, begin with the trees, begin with the ground, begin with the waters. Try to hear the message there. And if that's not satisfying you, please do reach out to the people that you love or trust and know that by asking for the message will come. Otherwise, I just invite you to allow spaciousness in these next 2 weeks. Allow yourself to connect with the emptying out and the beginning to take shape of what comes next with a slower pace than maybe you're used to. I send you so much love in this solstice time. I will be spending my own time with the hermit and like entering or engaging with what is to come, but also more importantly, engaging with what has come to rest. That just can't be overstated. Really think about these 2 weeks as this space between what was and what will come, and see how much you can rest into that, how much presence you can offer that invitation, that gift that is the winter solstice, that gift that is this next journey into the new year. All right, sending you so much love, and I will see you on or hear you or be with you on the 10th of January. And until then, just wishing you a lot of space, space to hear yourself, space to hear the earth, space to hear what needs to be understood and what needs to be put down before the beginning of this next year. All right. So much love. Bye.